welcome to the Champions Club here at the Peterson Event Center for the Jeff Capel Show. We are doing this show live while the Pitt women play Virginia Tech, so you might hear occasional cheering. Hopefully no booing. Yeah. It's just, but you're going to hear some atmosphere in the back, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
Since last time we talked, congratulations.
Thank you.
I know you never want to take road wins for granted. They're always tough.
No, they are. They are. First of all, it's hard to win, period, and it's especially hard to win on the road. And I'm really proud of our team because, we had just lost 2 in a row. We lost, a tough one, a heartbreaker here to Clemson, and we went down to Duke and, double-figure lead in the first half, led for the first 10 minutes of the second half, and then couldn't hold on to it. And then we had 2 more on the road, and we were going to places where we've never won. This program hasn't won. I don't think Pitt has won at Georgia Tech, and I don't think they had ever won in the Yum Center. Well, I know that now.
Right, yeah.
And to go out and get, 2 road wins against, Georgia Tech, their conference win was against the number 12 team in the country, Miami at the time. I thought Louisville had been playing a lot better the last 4 games, way better than their record indicates. And we showed toughness, we showed togetherness, and it was a big-time win for us.
What makes a good road team?
I think you have to be tough. I think you have to be incredibly, incredibly together. Because when you're on the road, you have no one else. You don't have a crowd to energize you. In our league, we're able to get 75 tickets. So hopefully we have 75. It was really cool. I met a family in Louisville. They were Pitt fans. I got to speak to them afterwards. A guy and his wife and his kids, and they were all decked out in Pitt stuff. I asked him, I was like, are you from Pittsburgh? He has season tickets, and they live in Louisville. Comes to every football game, but it was just really cool to see that and their love for Pitt. But I just think you have to be incredibly tough, incredibly together, and then you have to be pretty good.
To that point, there was a time you were down 4 in the first half, and there were a couple times in the second half where it may have tilted the other way. Is that part of that toughness you're talking about to get through those times?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought we got off to a good start at Louisville. I thought after the 16-minute timeout, from that point to the under 12 timeout, I don't think we played well, and I let our team know that. I thought we were a little soft. I didn't think we were tough during that time. And then for the rest of the half, and then for the majority of the second half, we were. They cut it to 6. It was 39-33, and we came down. Jamarius found Greg Elliott in the corner for a 3. We came down the very next play. Jamarius took a charge, so our defense was really good. And then we came down and scored again to get that separation. And from that point on, I thought we played really well.
Jeff, what does it mean to you to win a game where Blake and Nelly, I think we're 3 of 19 combined?
Well, it shows, that we have good quality depth. I've been saying that. I thought the game changed in the first half when we brought in Nike Sabande, Guillermo Diaz-Graham, and Nate Santos. I thought they changed the game with their energy. Nike changed it with the shooting, but also his energy defensively. And then Guillermo and Nate did it just with pure energy. Now, they both made 3s during that time. Nate and G did. But, defensively, rebounding, toughness plays, we, went over with our team today and showed some of those plays. I thought that was really, really instrumental. And the coolest part of it was that as that was going on in that first half, there was a clip that I showed our team today. Guillermo made a good defensive play, and he knocked the ball out of bounds. He deflected it. And the first person up off the bench yelling and screaming was Blake. And so that's the part for me as a coach when you have a team that's so together, man. It's really cool to be around.
It's interesting. I remember that play. I'm sure you're right about Blake, but who always sticks out to me is Tim.
Yeah.
Is Tim O'Toole, because he's just, I can see that. Yeah, that's what we want. Deflections, like that's what I've been telling you.
Yeah.
He's really made an impact. When those two are shooting 3, Guillermo and Nate, you feel comfortable? Are they green light?
Yeah. And Nike will tell you this. Like, Nate doesn't miss in practice, and it's not an exaggeration, but he hasn't been able to make them in games. And so it was good to see him make one last night. We have a lot of confidence in him. The thing that I love about Nate right now is that he's playing with force. earlier in the year, that's something he didn't do. He didn't compete all the time. Every second that he was out there. I thought a huge play that he made. No one will even recognize it, but he got an offensive rebound, tried to make a pass to Guillermo, and turned it over. But man, he sprinted back down the court and he made a play where he walled up at the basket and stopped the layup. And then he sprinted back in transition. We hit ahead to him. He drove it, played off 2 feet, made a pass to JB, and we scored. And that sequence right there shows the growth, because earlier in the year, if he turned it over, he probably would have dropped his head and not run back down the court. But both of those guys, man, they can shoot the ball. They're good players. They're getting better. They love to be in the gym. They're not afraid of the work. And we're going to need them going forward, and we have a lot of confidence in them.
You mentioned him earlier. I want to talk a little bit as we continue, a little bit more about Nike.
Yep.
And how you found him and and his career and how he's persevered during his time here at Pitt. It's the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Welcome back to the Champions Club here at the Peterson Event Center. Nike Sabandi had a season high 21 against Georgia Tech, had 12 last night. But it seems like so many of them came at the right time, at the right moment.
Yeah.
How do players kind of find themselves in those situations?
Well, first and foremost, he's a really good player. Pliz told me after the game, he scored, with how he scored last night, it's over 1,700 points. That's a lot of points. Over 600 rebounds, over 200 threes. That's big time, man. Like really, really big time. And Nike has the ability to score points in bunches. And you saw that last night. He can shoot it. He's got burst. He can get by you. He's really fast and athletic. I thought one of the best plays he made after he had made those threes, we called the play, for him, which is kind of an ISO play. And he drove it, but he made a play. He passed it back to Nate up top. And that's the, three that Nate hit. I thought his defense was really good. And just the energy that he brought, during that game.
So I remember when he first came and there was a thought, okay, here's the scorer. Mm-hmm. Like, here's the guy that could be out there and shoot threes. I didn't know he could play defense. Like, is that something he's always had?
You have to ask him. I don't know if he did or
I will
not.
ask him.
He just scored, but I knew when I watched his film, because of his athleticism, and then in talking to him, because of how competitive he is, I knew that he had a chance, that he should be a good defender. Right. I knew that he had the capability of being a good defender. And when he got here, and watching him in workouts and in practice and things like that, then I knew he had a chance to be a really good defender.
How did you first come into contact, or was he when he was on your radar?
Yeah, so what happened was that, I think he and my brother had been in contact, and, he was, maybe looking to leave. I remember the first time I talked to him, I was at the beach. I was in North Carolina with my family at the beach. I got on the phone with him. We talked. I had heard about him. I had watched his film, was very impressed with that. I remember when we talked, I remember him saying, like, his daughter's name is Oakland. And so it was like, okay, Oakland's so this, yep. It kind of felt like, and I remember right then, he's just like, Coach, like, I'm feeling this. I think this is, whatever. And so that's how it all happened.
So it's from that, you didn't know really about him at high school. You just kind of saw the numbers in the tape.
I saw the numbers. I saw the tape. I saw film of him from his time at Miami of Ohio. I think when I took the job, I think he was already, committed to Miami of Ohio or, whatever. But was really impressed at his time there. And I remember, here's one thing I remember talking to him about. I think he had just finished his third year there. And I think Nike had something like 163s, but it was like 76 as a freshman. Something it was freshman and sophomore. There were a lot, and then his third year he made like 36. It was a drastic drop off. And I remember asking him, like, why is it a drop off? That doesn't make sense. And he told me that his coach wanted him to drive it more. That's what he wanted him to do. And I just remember thinking, like, that's a lot of threes. Like, we need shooting. That's what we need. We don't have anyone that could shoot it. So it was it was a really good marriage, with us. He's had a, very difficult time here. He's gone through a lot, the first year.
Yeah, he was the only transfer that wasn't cleared, I think.
It was crazy, man. It was really crazy, really unfair to him. We found out 56 minutes before the Miami game. It literally was 56 minutes on the clock when we found out that he was cleared. So he played that game. We won at Miami. We came back. We played Louisville here. I didn't coach. I had COVID. And we lost. Guys went home for Christmas. We came back, getting ready to practice, and he was around someone that had COVID. So we went to Syracuse. He didn't come on the trip with us. A couple of games were canceled when we came back. We ended up playing Syracuse here. He got a DNP. He didn't play. We played Duke, and then after that, and then he played or whatever. Had a great finish to the end of the year. I thought he was going to have a huge year last year in the exhibition game. Obviously, tore his ACL.
Yeah, it's been a career. We're going to talk to him about it next as we continue. Nike's going to join us. It's Jeff Capel Show here from the Peterson Event Center on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Welcome back to the Campus View Club here at the Peterson Event Center. We're joined by 6'4" guard from Indianapolis, Nike Sibande.
Yes,
congratulations on the couple of wins. You guys had a couple of tough losses, but you followed them up with two big road wins. How big were those? Have these last two been for your team?
like Coach said, any win is big for us. Obviously, we had struggled in the past, so just to get any win is a plus on our board for sure.
What has led to that? What do you like about the way you guys are playing?
I just think this team. I love our selfishness and how we care and play for each other. Like we all believe in each other, and something we go by is putting the batter in each other's backs and believing in each other. So I think everybody does that and at a good level, and speaks highly on each other, and really just helps each other out throughout the course of any game. So I think that's big for us.
I've heard a lot of the guys use that phrase, the battery and each. Who came up with that one?
I think me.
Yeah?
Really. Yeah, I think I did.
Did you have a lot of toys as a kid with batteries in the back? Like where?
Nah, that's just something that I just go by. It's truth. Like sometimes you gotta put that battery in the next man's back to get him to push his greatness out of him.
Where does your energy come from?
Just my love for the game. I love basketball. I love to be out on the floor and just to hoop. Like I've been doing it for my whole life. So just to be doing it at this stage is just a blessing. So that's where it comes from.
Does any of the love come from the fact that you've had to persevere through so many different things
sure.
that maybe you appreciate it more than you did a few years ago even?
Yes, for sure. I definitely have my hardships, and that makes me appreciate the game a lot more. Throughout my hardships, I was able to pick up some stuff throughout them too, like study the game more and just become more of a student of the game. So I think sitting out definitely got my drive up more for sure.
Nike Sibande joining us here on the Jeff Capel Show. So I've got to ask you, because Coach told me to ask you, where's that love of defense? When did you really start understanding the importance of defense?
I think really coming here. Early in my career, I didn't really think too much on defense. But when I came here, I realized okay, a lot of you can affect the game on defense, and I feel like I got the intangibles to be a good defender. So why not try to be the best defender I can?
Can you take the same joy in doing that as hitting a three?
For sure, definitely. Like I like to, something my dad tells me is to stick my hand in people's cookie jar. I like to get steals, man, and get my hand on the basketball and stuff like that. So, yeah, definitely.
There was a couple of games ago where you had a really good. It was the Georgia Tech game. You had a really good half, and Coach's like, "Hey, I'm going to start you." What did you tell Coach about Greg going in the second half to start?
I told him, not to start me and to stick with the group, and cause everybody goes through struggles, stuff like that. But I feel like, we can get out of them, and I know what I can bring to the table, coming off the bench as well, any role, starting coming off the bench. I know what I bring to the table, so I'm really not, pressed to start or nothing like that. I'm just want to get in and be the best player I could be.
But you recognized it was important for Greg. Like maybe
sure.
this will get him going.
For sure, definitely. I was thinking that it'll definitely get him going and let him see the ball go through the hoop a couple times. Get it going.
How different is the experience now at Pitt than when you first got here, as far as you guys getting along as teammates?
It's a whole new. It's a very different experience than when I first got here for sure. I feel like this, like I said earlier, this group, we really selfless for each other. We all care about each other at a different degree than any team I've been on. Um, and we all just want to win at the end of the day. Like everybody wants to win at the end of the day. So I feel like we all got a common goal of getting the job done, and we find different ways to do it each night, regardless who's the top leading scorer or what. Like as long as the job's getting done, I feel like we all happy.
And that gets you through the tough times too, as Coach
Definitely.
was saying. Like
Definitely.
your belief in each other gets you through that when you're down in games or whatever the situation
Exactly,
might be.
for sure. Exactly. We figured out.
All right. You grew up in Indiana playing basketball. There's
Yeah.
a lot of assumptions about Indiana basketball. I want to ask you about that and your journey here to Pitt as we continue. It's the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Welcome back to the Campus View Club here at the Peterson Event Center. We're joined by Nike Sabandi, and we were talking some Indiana basketball. You grew up playing in Indiana. What was that? So people may have the impression of Hoosiers and everybody going to all the games. What was Indiana basketball like for you?
Man, Indiana basketball is very competitive. I think it's one of the best basketball, like high school basketball states. Like we breed good basketball players, and like the people there take pride in basketball. Like it's a whole thing there.
Were most gyms packed on nights you played?
Yes, like majority of our games, almost every game in high school was like almost sold out. Cause I played in a small gym school, so like every game was like sold out. It was crazy. Every single game.
Did you feel like like you when you played basketball at your school, like you were a star at your school?
It's not a star, but I felt like
No, but you know
yeah,
what I mean. Like
yeah,
you're
yeah,
on the
yeah,
basketball
yeah,
team.
for sure, for
Okay.
sure. It was definitely that feeling there for sure.
What did you learn about your time there that really still sticks with you to this day?
I feel like that's where I get my competitiveness from. It's just growing up in Indiana and just you know playing under that like basketball. The people there really care about it. Kids there, that's all they want to do. So it's just like a whole thing for sure.
You're from Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Like you were probably a kid when Butler was making those runs. Like, do you
Yeah.
remember those tournament runs they were making?
Butler, Brad Stevens, he was the coach there at the time. They went on a couple of good runs, and it was legendary for sure.
Who was your favorite player growing up?
Favorite player? My favorite player always been Kobe. I love Kobe. Yeah.
What did you appreciate, and maybe even more so now, about his game that you've learned more about the game?
Really just the mentality of coming into a game. The approach and the understand you got to put in work to get a good outcome. So Kobe was. I feel like he's my GOAT. Like I love Kobe. Like
we talked earlier about the camaraderie with your group and how tight it is. When you guys are in the room, like, do different guys speak? Like, how does that work when you guys are together?
Oh, we in the room. We just all vibing with everybody. Like everybody's cool with everybody. Everybody talks to everybody. We all are like brothers for sure.
What's it been like getting to know the twins?
It's been real good, real interesting, man. Like they got they're from Spain, so they got their own little ways and little stuff they say, and just they teach us Spanish stuff like that. Yeah, they teach us some of their language and stuff, little stuff they say during the games to get them going. Like it's just like we all figuring each other out still figuring each other out, but it's interesting for sure.
Yeah, I would imagine it's cool. I mean, you guys all come from different parts of the United States or world, and you're bonded together with this idea or attempting to win every game here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Exactly.
It's a wild dynamic, isn't
Definitely.
it? What going forward? What's key for you guys moving forward to keep this rolling?
I feel like what's key for us is to just lock into each and every day, lock into each and every game, not get too high or not get too low. That's what Coach says to us a lot. Just stay in the middle of it and just and continue to put in the work every day. Take no shortcuts and just lock in with each other, man. And we never know what we could do.
Well, best of luck.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nike Sabandi joining us here on the Jeff Capel Show. When we come back, there are alums all over the place from the University of Pittsburgh. He's this man is one of the guys that loves this program, loves this university. We're going to talk to Chris Bickle as we continue here on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Yes, and welcome back to the Campus View Club here at the Peterson Event Center. It's the Jeff Capel Show. You know, Jeff, we found out last September when 1997 alumnus Chris Bickle made a $20 million donation for the football program. And Chris joins us now. Chris, I was just telling Jeff the story. I remember at that news conference where someone had asked you if you were going to call plays in the spring game, and you said, no, I'm calling them today. As a joke, but where did your love of Panthers athletics really take form?
I grew up a Penn State fan, so it's kind of awkward that in the family I ended up going to the University of Pittsburgh. But as soon as I stepped on campus, just the history of the programs, the school itself, I loved everything about it, and I became a huge fan of Pitt athletics. It never ended.
Why is it important to you to give back?
Well, I think it's important because, someone's got to do it, right? And I think we were at a critical time in Pitt athletics and University of Pittsburgh itself as a national brand. And I found myself in a unique position from having success in business and thought it was my duty, really, to step up and be a catalyst to help the coaches, help the players, and help the university.
Joined by Panthers alumnus Chris Bickle, and you made a statement a year ago about sports is the entrance to a university. And what do you mean by that, and how do you view the importance of sports to any university?
Oh, I mean, you look around the country. I mean, University of Alabama, the success they've had in football. You've seen what it's done for their academics and the school itself. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. And football, basketball, and just Division I sports in general for a school, it's the doorstep, right? It sets the tone of the brand potentially, right, in households all across the country, especially here in Pennsylvania. So I think it's just an incredible opportunity to to be winners, right? And that's really getting back to why I do this and why I wanted to help. It's because I love winning and I'm addicted to it, and I love this place. And guys like Coach Capel, Narduzzi, and the rest of the staff that Heather's put in place, and we have winners here, and now it's time to capitalize.
What's it been like for you watching the basketball team this year?
Oh, it's incredible. Got the opportunity to be at the Virginia game, which was huge, and just watching these guys, these kids come together. I've gotten to know the team and through Coach Capel, and I can tell you, it's no secret, man. They're good kids, man. And Coach Capel's got something special going on here, and I can feel it when I'm watching the games on TV and I'm in the building. It's like I know something special is happening, so it feels really good.
I think one of the things that's really cool about the team is not just that they're winning, but the way they win, the way that they get along, how they react to each other and support each other. I'd imagine for you it's a similar thing as you're watching this team.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just listening to Nike talk, and it's just that's how we all feel. It's not just me. When I talk to friends around the country or Pittsburgh or wherever, they watch the games, and it's all the same narrative after the game. It's like these guys are ballers, man, and they're tough, and you can tell there's unity on this team, and that's in sports. Anyone who's played sports and athletics, especially at the high level, that's what makes a big difference in winning and losing.
Chris, what were your big memories of watching Pitt games when you were in college?
Specifically basketball, we weren't the best team, right? And football too. We were, I said when back in the day on the radio show that I remember losing to Ohio State, like something crazy, like 77-0. But the hoops team was better. We had guys like Jerry McCall there. I mean, it was just good basketball. It was Big East basketball. I loved it. I grew up going to the Palestra in Philadelphia and watching Temple and Villanova and those teams play and how they competed. And I just remember that was always the DNA of Pitt basketball. So back in the 90s, in the Fitzgerald Fieldhouse, that's what it felt like. But when you step into this building and you step into this atmosphere today that they build at the Pete, second to none. So it feels really good to see this evolution.
We're talking to Chris Bickle, CEO of Wellhive. You help military veterans find with healthcare services, and I would imagine that right above the hill from us is the Veterans Hospital. That probably played into ultimately what you did.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, I have Veterans Affairs, the veterans themselves, made a big impact on me in my career, and it started at Pitt. I mean, I saw the building every day. Our fraternity house was right there, so it's just, yeah, I love the VA. I love what it stands for, and throughout my career for the past 20 plus years, I've dedicated every ounce of energy I've had to supporting what VA stands for and helping veterans.
All right, I'm interested, Chris, when you go into work after a big win, how much Royal are you wearing?
I wear Pitt gear every day. It's actually kind of annoying to my kids and the people at the gym where I go. Everyone's like, the Pitt guy's back. But I wear. But Pat Bostic and the crew have gotten me, and Coach Capel and Narduzzi, they've gotten me so much cool gear that people, they think they know I'm affiliated with the program because no one wears this kind of swag. So it's awesome.
Well, it'd be a shame for it just to sit in the closet. I mean, you need to let it breathe. Get out there and be seen.
That's right, man. Hey, Pitt, I tell you, Pitt has some of the nicest swag in the country. And if you look at, just anyone and talk to anybody, I'm in Florida, I'm in Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, they all say, man, that Pitt gear is sweet. In fact, Michael Jordan is a couple of houses down from me in Florida, and it's on my hit list to knock on the door and introduce them to the, to what we're doing here at Pitt. So.
Well, Jeff, you had a pickup game against Michael, right?
Yeah. My dad used to golf with him in the summers. He's got some great stories about it, and that pickup experience I had with him was maybe the greatest basketball experience of my life.
So when you went home and Dad's like, man, no dinner tonight. That's because he was betting with Michael on that golf game.
He tells a story my dad did. He had like a routine, 15-foot putt. And he was walking up to get ready to do it, and Jordan threw down $25,000 and said, if you make it, it's yours. Yeah. And obviously my dad didn't make it. He was so messed up, a routine. He was so messed up, he didn't make it.
Jeez, that's a crazy story. Well, Chris, thank you so much for your support for the university. I know, Jeff appreciates all the coaches, all the fans, appreciate everything you do, and keep on rooting the Panthers.
Appreciate you, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks, Coach Capel. Okay. Appreciate it.
All right.
Chris Bickle here on the Jeff Capel Show. When we continue, there was a surprise announcement today about one of the longtime coaches here in the ACC. I want to get your thoughts on what Mike Bray decided to do today as we continue here on the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. So, Jeff, I think a lot of us were kind of sitting there, we're all plugged in, and you find out about everything now. I mean, there's nothing that doesn't come your way, especially in a basketball community. But that Mike Bray, at the end of the year, will no longer be the Notre Dame head coach. What was your first reaction?
Yeah, well, I wasn't surprised. I had kind of heard that even before the season that this may be it for him. My first 2 years as a player at Duke, Coach Bray was an assistant. And so I've known him since I was about 16 years old when
Wow.
Duke started recruiting me. And great guy, great coach. I'm not surprised, though, just because I think I read that he's been there this is 23rd year. I think he was at Delaware for maybe 5 years before that. I know he left us in '95 at Duke after my sophomore year. And so, wish him well. He's done an amazing job there. He's a great coach, a really, really great guy, one of the funniest human beings I've ever been around. He kept things light, during my first 2 years when it's really heavy there. I would go see him, and Tommy Amaker was the other assistant. I'd go to their office every day just to kind of
I can't believe this guy down the hall. He's driving me nuts,
that's
right?
exactly what we would say. And it was easier with TA because he played for him. Amaker played for K too, so we could talk like, yo, what's this guy doing, man? Like, why is he on me like this? And that was me. I got yelled at every day from the time I stepped on campus until I finished.
It's
So
being a guard, right? It's like being the
I
quarterback.
guess that's what you call it. Yeah.
Right? You know?
Yeah. No.
But I've never heard a bad thing about Mike, and somebody once said, I challenge you to find a picture where he's not, if not smiling, at least looking happy or enjoying what he does for a profession.
And that is him, man. That is him. I mean, like I said, from the time I got to know him at 16 to, being with him just about every day for 2 years, my first 2 years of college, it just seemed like he never had a bad day. Like there was so much joy in what he did and how he lived his life. And I'm happy for him because he'll go out his way and walk away knowing the impact he's had on the people that he's coached, the people that he's been around. He's young enough where he still gets to enjoy his life, do some things that, he wants to do, hang out with his family, and just enjoy life, man.
In the history of mankind, I don't know if there's anything that humans have been more attached to than a cell phone. And right? And
Yeah.
it's information that you get constantly. So now we're at that time where speculation's coming and bracketology is coming. Like, what do you tell your guys about staying in the moment?
Yeah, that's something we've talked about from the very beginning. It's easier for me because I'm older. I didn't grow up with social media, with a cell phone. That happened later in my life when I was a senior in college. I think that's when I got a cell phone. And certainly social media that didn't exist. So it's easy. I can separate. Like I'm not on it. Like I don't need to hear someone else's opinion about what I'm doing. I live it every day. I try to talk to our team about that. The thing I've said to them all year is just stay present. Because of what we've done, we've put ourselves in a position now where every game is a huge opportunity. And let's just stay focused on that. Not worry about the past, not think about the future. Just stay present with each day. And for the most part, we've done a pretty good job of that.
Is that where it's really good to have those veteran players that have been through these type of things?
Yeah, I mean it is, and they understand it. After we played, I think it was the North Carolina game. Blake Henson got interviewed by the crew from ESPN, and I played what he said to our team the next day, and it was awesome. I didn't see it; someone told me about it, and then I watched it. I got Jake to put it on my computer, and it was basically repeating what I've said to them. And the question to him was, what do you say to people that, maybe thought differently about you guys from the beginning of the season? And he said, absolutely nothing. Let them think exactly what they thought before. Like we hold ourselves to our standard, and we're going to do that every day. And so for the most part, we've done a pretty good job of that.
3 straight home games. I know the crowds keep increasing. How much does that atmosphere really impact what you guys do?
Yeah, it's huge, man. I mean, it's huge, and we need a big crowd. Saturday afternoon at 3:00 against Florida State. Our guys feed off of it. I think they're deserving of it. Like you've said, it's a really fun team to watch. They engage with the crowd. I think we're playing an exciting brand of basketball right now. But it gives energy to our team. It gives energy to our recruiting efforts. It gives energy just to everything. And I think, what I have felt this year especially is a connection with our team and the fans, especially the Oakland Zoo. I just feel that there's a connection there, and it's pretty cool to see. And it helps us. I mean, it really, really helps us.
Before we get into Florida State, I want to ask you one quick thing about Nike and the story that it came out at Georgia Tech halftime.
Yeah.
Of him, how did he tell you, and kind of how did that all go down?
Yeah, so I wasn't upset with Greg that I didn't actually think he was playing bad. I didn't like his body language. And it's interesting because earlier in the year when we played VCU, Greg had a very similar game than he had against Georgia Tech in that he couldn't make a shot. And he wore it all over his face. I mean, his body language was bad. And late in that game, he had 2 free throws. Late. It was maybe a little bit over a minute left. It was maybe a 3-point game, and he missed them both. And I kind of thought he would miss because his body language. And so afterwards, I talked to him about it, and I just said, you can never look like that. That was the reason why at halftime I said, okay, I'm going to make a change. I told my staff first, went in and talked to the team, went through everything, and as we were getting ready to go out, I just said, okay, Nike, you're going to start for Greg this half. We huddle up, bring it in, and as they're walking out, I noticed Nike's kind of waiting. He's last, and he comes up to me, and he was like, Coach, keep G in there. Like, I'm good. Just keep him in there. And, Jeff, that was huge because earlier in the year, Nike wouldn't have done that. I mean, there's no way I don't think he would have done that, and that shows the growth. And so when he says we're all about winning, I think we are now. And I'm not saying that he wasn't earlier or we weren't, but just going through all the things that we have gone through this year, I think everyone is all pulling in the same direction. And that was, for me as a coach, man, it's one of the coolest things I've ever experienced because I've never had that happen.
That's awesome. I know a guy you have a lot of admiration for is Leonard Hamilton.
Yep.
You face them on Saturday, 3 o'clock, right here at the Peterson Event Center. We're going to talk about Florida State as we continue. It's Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network. Welcome back to the Campus View Club. I'm looking in. The Pitt women are playing nationally ranked Virginia Tech and down 2 at the half. I know you guys do pull for each other.
No question.
It's a big fraternity.
Absolutely, and hopefully we can keep it up. We've been pretty good in the first half. This is when, and so hopefully we can learn from the last one and the last couple and put together 40 minutes, man.
Yeah, Florida State got off to a slow start this year, but 4-4 in the conference. They shoot the 3 well. What kind of challenge are they going to present on Saturday?
It's an interesting team because they had a lot of injuries early in the year, and they had probably their most talented player was suspended. He's a kid from Spain, big-time reputation, but he was suspended, I think, for the first 12 games for allegedly accepting gifts. They're big, they're long, they're athletic. They can get after you defensively, which a typical Coach Ham team does at Florida State. They can shoot the basketball. Matthew Cleveland is playing at a very, very high level in conference plays, averaging about 16 and 11. Caleb Mills can shoot it. I mean, they're a very talented team that's playing its best basketball right now.
Yeah, Matthew Cleveland, the reigning ACC Sixth Man of the Year, for the season is 14.4 points, 8 rebounds, 2.5 assists. Hits 47% of his field goals, 43% from 3.
Yeah.
Other than that, he didn't do much for him.
Absolutely. And like I said, if you go to conference in the games, those averages are increased. And he was a top 25 recruit coming out of high school. Like you mentioned, Sixth Man of the Year last year, and is playing at a very, very, very high level right now.
You mentioned it, and this is probably a part of it at least, length and defense. But what is it about a Coach Hamilton team that you see every time?
Well, they play hard. They play incredibly together. There's a toughness that comes with them that's kind of been the staple of their program. They've always had great length everywhere on the court. They normally have big guards, which they do right now. Worley, 6'5". And it's just a different style because they switch everything. So when you play them, it's hard to run a specific offense. I've felt since I've been here that you just have to play offense. You have to be able to read and react and make plays because they try to just really muck the game up and try to take you out of everything that you're trying to run.
Well, and that requires trust from you that your guys are going to make the right decisions.
Absolutely. And, we'll get after it tomorrow in practice. Today was more of a mental day because we had a lot of guys that played minutes. And so trying to preserve their legs and their bodies. We watched tape. We went through a few things on the court. But tomorrow, we'll try to simulate that length and things like that. And hopefully, we'll have a great game plan, and hopefully we can go out and execute it on Saturday.
And hopefully a lot of people will be here to
Absolutely.
see it. 2:30 is the pregame. Tip at 3 o'clock against Florida State. A big game for the Panthers, 6-2 in the ACC. Pregame with Bill Hillgrove, Curtis Aiken, Cale Berger. Again, 2:30 on our network stations. Tip at 3. Our thanks to you, Coach, to Nike Sibande, to Chris Bickle, to Matt Pliska for putting it all together. We say good night from the Campus View Club. It is the Jeff Capel Show on the Pitt Panthers Radio Network.